Hey, welcome back to Dev Suvara. Today I want to talk about something a little bit different. Well, completely different. It's more of like a philosophical take on how we approach the way we write our code. And it kind of came about when I was considering the difference between, when you build the perspective you have on how something happens, right? In terms of bringing something to life. uh, so what I mean by this is that you can have a look at it. You can look at it from multiple ways, right? So you can say that something made something, right? You make something, make a piece of software. You make some code. You write some code, or do you make the code or make the product, or do you grow the product or grow the code? It was an interesting way to look at it, and it kind of like made me think about how I would approach a project if I made something or if I grew something. And all of a sudden, it's like, well, let's have a look about how a tree grows. Like kind of like in order for something to grow, you can't push hard to make something grow faster than it's meant to grow. You kind of like nurture it. And I was thinking, well, if there's a product or an idea and you're kind of making it, you kind of have this sense of uh, like you have so much control over the product as it develops. But then I thought, like, well, what if I look at code as if something like, or code or a product that I'm doing and I'm growing it, right? So all of a sudden it's like, well, I looked at it from a different perspective in that, well, I can write some code and it's there to get this part of the job done. And then it grows to a different part. So like the approach of planning and the approach of thinking about what code was going to come next, whether I made it or grew it, was completely different. Because I'm still using my hands to perform the act. But if you look at it from a philosophical perspective, and it's really weird. You should try it. Try it yourself. It's like have a look at some code and go, I'm going to grow this code. Or I'm going to make this code, or I'm going to grow this product, or I'm going to grow this piece of software. I'm going to make this piece of software. And I found that when I was looking at from the perspective of growing something, I was looking more about how I could find the things I needed to find to make it grow, right? So it was less like, how can I do something to make the product, right? So I can help it grow, right? I guess that's the same when we look at people. Are people made or are people grown? If you kind of like look at it from the perspective of, say, for instance, you're growing as a baby, you're growing, right? But if we look at the way that from Western culture, the idea of the universe is that it's kind of made by kind of this maker. And so there's a different perspective there, which kind of like it's kind of like this juxtaposition, because if you kind of look at the continuation of how things occur, most of the things grow out of other things, trees, plants. I guess you could say people have grown out of this world. But yet we see ourselves as kind of like makers, right? So we make houses, we make cars, we make products. But maybe we don't. Maybe that's the whole process is like we kind of put ourselves under this pressure to make something, when if we had looked at it from the process of growing something, then it's just natural that it will happen, right? Because if you grow something and you look after it and you know how to grow it, like any plant or anything really, if you know how to do it, then you can make it an effective product. And I guess that shift in your perspective makes a lot of difference. Like it was really strange. Like I was all of a sudden looking at software from a completely different perspective, because it wasn't all of a sudden so utilitarian. It was also, it's like, well, you grow plants because they look nice, they smell nice. It's like, well, we kind of growing this design. It has to, I mean, a good design, it needs to be functional, right? So there's the functional aspect and there's the beauty aspect too. So I wondered, where this will take me. And so far, it's like I definitely feel a lot more laid back about it. I don't feel like I'm putting myself under so many constraints and so much pressure. But at the same time, I'm still applying the same kind of process. The same thing is happening. Like I do something and it happens to fall into place, right? So everything is still falling into place in the same way as if I was to make something from it, if I was to grow something. And another problem with this whole process is like the language that I use to try and define things has been really kind of centered around making things, right? So you kind of find yourself stuck in how to even express what it is that you're doing. And that perspective shift, the philosophical shift in how you approach something like that is fundamental. So I wonder where this will take me. I'm going to kind of keep exploring with this and see where it goes. And so far, I mean, it's actually been quite like I guess productive. I mean, there's been a lot going on, and everything's happened that I wanted it to happen in the way that I wanted to happen. But I've shifted some of the ways that I approach problems a little bit. That's it for now. I guess, yeah, give it a go. See if it works for you. It might not work, might just be nonsense, might not make any difference at all. It might make all the difference, but I'd love to hear what you think about it. And yeah, do put it in the comments. Short video today. I'll look forward to seeing you at the next one next week. Catch ya.